church with the red roof, tall against the hills and sky. God calls us to show up every day, to be water for the dry and deadened lands, to be water for those that thirst. Come be filled, that you might serve. Maybe you could be the blade that discs the land so that water can flow. Maybe you could be the ditch that carries the water to the fields so people and animals can be nourished and grow. Or maybe you could be the engineer mapping the dams with a heart of justice. You would know the ones that must be taken down, and those that would serve everyone would remain. Or maybe you would be the broken vessel, carried by hand, shoulder, arm, or head. Or maybe you would be the cistern who stores the water. Or maybe you would be the one who protects the water. Or maybe you would be the one who pours the water for others. Or maybe you would be the one who blesses the water. Maybe you are the tired ground that needs to receive the water gratefully and gradually. Maybe you're the tiny seed sipping the smallest bit of water in order to grow. Maybe you are the thick vine, green and ropey, with arms that reach and surround others to shelter and shade them. Oh, church with the red roof, revive, renew, and replenish. Then pour your hearts into this thirsty world. Amen.
Let me have a prayer with you, and then I'm going to ask you to join me in the Lord's Prayer, okay? Oh God, we do look to you as a chief counselor, even in the darkest night. You are ready to teach and to guide us. We need only to recognize your perpetual presence in our lives. Because you continually surround us, we shall not lose our way. You do show us the paths that we must take. Within all the embracing presence, there is genuine fulfillment in our relationship with you. We discover incomparable joy and contentment. And we remember this as we often pray together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. I'm, of course, in the Gospel of John. Let not your hearts be troubled. Believe in God and believe also in me. In my Father's house there are many rooms. If it were not so, would I have told you that I go to prepare a place for you? And when I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and will take you to myself, that where I am, you will be also. If you love me, you will keep my commandments. And I will pray to the Father, and he will give to you another counselor to be with you forever, and even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it neither sees him nor knows him. You know him, for he dwells with you and will be in you. I will not leave you desolate. I will come to you, and yet in a little while the world will see me no more. But you will live, and because I live, you shall live also. I'm going to do something a little different in a reading. I'm going to look here. This is a little bit of kind of contemporary. You've got to use your imagination just a bit. You'll get it. Before she came to town, Grief was named Eloise. She was a potter. She glazed her big-bellied pots with earth colors until they shone like dull bronze. She had 4 children. The daughters lived inland and now in distant foothills of everyone else. The oldest son left the family, as soon as he could get away. It was the young boy. It was the young boy that she loved so much. He loved the ocean. She was watching him, and he was barely walking when he learned to swim. And not much older, he started to sail. One day, about 2 years ago, the sailors brought the boat home empty. Never have I heard that sound of a weeping as when Grief found out that her son had drowned. She screamed and hollered. She stamped her feet. She smashed the pots and the bowls. She ate all with her fingers. She tore her hair. It grew wild and matted. She wandered from place to place with no sense of where she was or where she came from. And then one day, at the edge of the forest, Grief heard another woman crying out. She spoke with her. She listened to her story. Grief was surprised. She had never heard anyone else who had suffered as she had. Together, the women sat in a clearing and they mourned their children. Through the long afternoon and through to the twilight, through the night, they wept and wept and wept and wept. In the morning, Grief washed clean all her tears. She came to our town and she started her real work. I guess we're ready to come up here and do our thing right up here.
No.
No? Oh.
You're coming up here. You're going here.
That's the problem when you work with me. You do fine alone there, but. So we're going to go into Mending Hearts. This is what I've got you here all about. I'm going to do sort of the introduction. She's going to do the real meat to all this. I'm going to give you two pictures. And I'll bet every person here will fit into one of the pictures. You've got to use your imagination again just a little. Someone who gave you life and gave meaning has died. Someone who brought you joy. Someone who gave you love. Perhaps even someone who gave you life is now gone. No matter how much you may have prepared yourself, you were not quite prepared. No matter how many words you may have shared, there were some things that you did not get to say. And no matter how much pain you have had to endure already, you are being called upon to endure even more. Someone who has been a part of your days on earth no longer walks the earth with you. And life is not the same. And it hurts. Picture number 2. When the relationship first began, you did not think how it would end. You did not think about what it would do when it happened, or where you would turn, or how you would feel. You did not imagine you would ache in all the ways you do. You did not realize how unpredictability your feelings would come and go, and how easily your mind would wander. How quickly your energy would almost vanish. You did not give thought to what happened to your daily routines, or what would become of your nightly rituals, or how those around you would respond, or what would become of you, or how those around you would respond. You did not know. You could not know. And now you're learning. Some beginning introduction thoughts before we listen to Pastor Lori. In my many years in the ministry, often more than I want to admit, there are many ideas about what a time of loss should be like. There are different theories about the forms that grief will take. I've heard them all. And the order in which they will come to you. There will be so many suggestions on the right way to grieve. And you may come to wonder what the right way really is. Fortunately, by the way, this morning, you need to know there is an answer. The right way is your way. No one else in the world, no matter how close they are, has had a relationship with the person who died. You did. No one else has your temperament, your unique way of dealing with stress. No one else is you. So the best way to move through the time of grief is in your own way. Remember, grief, it can be good for you. Grieving is a natural way of helping you become and to accept that someone you love is gone, and they're not going to return. Grieving is as natural as nature itself, as natural as summer being cropped by autumn and autumn slipping into the winter, and winter awakening into spring, and spring blossoming into summer again. But grieving is more than nature's way. It is the way of nature's great designer, the one behind all that is and all that shall be, the one who upholds you and those that you love, including that person that is gone, but with you still.
The German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer once wrote, "When you're at a certain age, you're going to look back over your life, and it will seem as orderly and composed as a novel. Little accidental meetings are going to be main features, and high points that you thought were fantastic at the time may end up to be little. Disasters will turn out to be gifts of restructuring in disguise. Life seems planned, and there's a mystery here. Finally, he asks, who wrote this novel? And can anything happen to you for which you are not ready?" Each day, events and experiences come into our lives, both the beautiful and the hard. We grow spiritually by learning to say yes to all of it, to all of our experiences, with open eyes and open hands and open hearts. Yes to letting life bring what it must bring. Yes to letting life take what it must take. And yes to permitting the world to be what it is. Yes, not because our experiences are easy or we like them, but because they are our spiritual work. But we all live too small. We fear what lies around the corner. We fear our feelings and we fear pain. We imagine that if we can just get things outside of us to be the way we want, then our lives inside will be less painful and easier to manage. So we expend all of our precious energy, our precious spirit, trying to control and manipulate things outside of us. We've lost the ability to trust our source, to take us where we need to go. And I'm going to tell you, with 8.5 billion of us on this planet living this way, Earth has become one huge, messy melodrama. Finding Nemo, I don't know if you've seen that movie, but Finding Nemo is one of my favorite movies. It's about an overprotective and fearful widow named Marlin. Marlin lost his wife and soon-to-be family save one egg to a very hungry barracuda. The one egg that survived, he named Nemo, and Marlin hides them both in the anemone that they live in. One day, in an act of great disobedience and defiance, Nemo swims out into open waters and ends up getting captured by some divers. Marlin is desperate to save his son, and so despite his fears, he leaves the anemone and he swims out into open waters. Marlin runs into another fish named Dory. She has short-term memory loss. But even with this liability, Dory becomes a significant mentor for Marlin's growth. At one point in the movie, Marlin and Dory are caught in the mouth of a whale. Dory's riding the currents. She's having a great time, by the way. She's singing and going, woo-hoo! She's having so much fun. Marlin is angry. He is angry and he blames their predicament on Dory. He's convinced that this is the end. And he's convinced that he has failed as a father because he could not protect his son. Suddenly the water starts to drain in the whale's mouth and the tongue becomes vertical. And both Marlin and Dory are hanging on for their lives. The whale does this horribly loud-sounding whale speak. And Dory looks at Marlin and she says, "It's time to let go. Everything will be all right." Marlin screams back at her, "How do you know? How do you know it will be all right? How do you know something bad won't happen?" And Dory responds, "I don't." Marlin, after a long pause, closes his eyes and lets go. They both scream and they fall, and at the last moment, the whale blows them both out the whale blowhole, and they end up back in the ocean. And they are alive and free. We all know people who have said no to what has happened in their life. They wear a big chip, sometimes a giant boulder on their shoulders. Life didn't unfold the way they wanted it to, and rather than learn to accept and move on, they became resentful. They became toxic to everyone around them, playing the same old song again and again. Why me? I'll never forgive. It isn't fair. It's a matter of principle. How could God allow this to happen? You know, life experiences were never meant to get stuck, blocking the flow of the Spirit within. They were meant to touch us to our core and change us. And after our story is told 1, 3, 5, 10 times, it was meant to fade away, becoming a simple memory that no longer carries heavy baggage. We're not supposed to be defined by what has happened to us. We're supposed to be free, to move on as deeper, more experienced human beings, ready for whatever is coming next. Eckhart Tolle, in an interview entitled "Even the Sun Will Die," which was held on the morning of 9/11 at exactly the same time that the events were unfolding, said these words: "Spiritual life grows when things are taken away, and our suffering creates a moment of change. Perhaps we lose possessions or income, status, relationships, even our beliefs. It feels like a real disaster, and surely it is. But within that disaster, there's an opening into something new. A hole in the fabric of our life appears, and God will shine through that hole if we will but let go." When loss appears in your life, do not resist it. When something gets taken away, detach from your desire to fix it. When something changes in a way you didn't want, just allow it to be. We're not here to organize life in a way that suits or pleases us. We're here to live the life that is given to us. Hafiz once wrote, "Even after all this time, the earth never says to the sun, 'You owe me.' The only way to live the life that is given to you is to stop fighting." The biblical record reports to us that Jesus, after the Last Supper and while in the garden with his disciples, prayed to let the cup of suffering pass. Perhaps he also said, God, I am not ready for this. God, I cannot see what's coming and it scares me to death. God, I'm afraid of pain. God, it wouldn't take much. I could get me and the disciples out of this garden. We can avoid all of this. But no sooner than those words were spoken than he said, nevertheless, not my will, but thy will be done. No matter what has happened in your past, no matter what you might be facing now or in the future, the call is to let go and not resist. Jesus teaches us to stay the course, just as he did. You see, there's grace in coming close to the things that break us. Because in the breaking, we also break open. And spirit is freed to flow. Flow and flow. Thy will be done. Surrender, and from that place, God will bring your resurrection. Now, it's hard to talk about letting go when you're facing grief, because we don't know how to let go. How to let go of 50 years of marriage, how to let go of a child, how to let go of someone we have loved, or a change in our life that has taken away something very important. Letting go seems like a big topic, and yet it's such a simple one. Michael Singer, author of The Untethered Soul and many other books, has spoken prolifically on the topics of letting go and acceptance and living in the moment. And he tells us we can't start with the big stuff. It's too hard. So he tells us to start with the easy stuff, like leaves and trees. Leaves and trees have a process. A tree can be bare, it can be fully leafed, it can be turning colors, and it can be dropping all those leaves on the ground until it's barren. Rather than moaning about raking and sticky sap, about disliking winter's barrenness or gushing over spring blossoms, can we step back and just enjoy and accept and love trees through all their life without any preferences about how they should be? Or how about the driver in front of you? He's driving 30 miles less than the speed limit, 30 miles below the speed limit. And you're in a hurry. You can't pass. And rather than talking smack about that driver and how horrible they are, or passing in a huff, can we relax and breathe and let it go? You see, the world is not going to unfold the way we want it to. We don't need to be right. We don't need to get ahead. We don't need to tell the world about our frustrations. We just need to let go. Singer tells us that we are given growth opportunities all the time because circumstances in life will make us uncomfortable. They'll hit something maybe that we've stored inside, or something in front of us will unfold in a way we don't want it to. Events, whether stored or currently happening, are processed the same way. He says, relax in the face of whatever it is, because you fight if you're not relaxed. Breathe, and with each breath, you let go and accept and release into whatever is happening. Each time we let go, we stand like David, the slingshot of acceptance at our side. The moment or pieces of our stored past lose power over us, and in time, they will lay slain at our feet. And you know what? After you've been letting go for just a little while, you'll begin to notice some wonderful things taking place. Life will not feel so heavy, so burdensome, even the hardest things. Things that used to bother you just won't anymore. You'll see doors open for you that you never saw before. You'll have more energy within because you're not trying to control the outside world or suppress all the junk that we keep inside. Best of all, you will feel wonderful, fulfilling, joyful, peaceful, clear, ecstatic energy that fills you. My friends, that's what holy water is all about. It spills over from us because we are so filled with love that it spills in service and love to others. And it's so powerful that you will wonder why you ever imagined money or possessions or relationships, prestige, power, beauty, or anything else in the world would make you whole. If you want to mend your heart, your life, and your soul, allow the rain, the storms, and the hardest nights to touch you to your core. Then allow them to pass through you. Allow the beautiful experiences to unfold without needing to cling or possess the fear that they'll never come again. You see, we're not asked to judge, control, or change life on earth. We're just asked to come here and experience life, all the life that unfolds before us. We let life bring what it must and take what it must. And in the end, healing, resurrection, and fullness of our lives is just letting go in disguise. Amen.
The wind of the Spirit is blowing. Lift me, Lord, and let me soar with the speed of time, content to see the dust of yesterday bury the past. Chase the wind with me, dream with me. Yesterday is gone and cannot be held by wishes. Now is the time for vision and prayer. This is a day, new adventures and new experiences. I do rejoice and I am glad. Amen. Depart in your world, folks, with love and with grace and peace, that you may come to know the resurrected Christ. Amen. You can have a seat while we listen to the final music. Don't forget you got some cookies when you go out.